guys, TinaGale here with My Scrippy Ideas. I'm back with another Focus on Sketches 3 Ways or More. So this is the sketch that we've been working with this month, and if you've been following along, then you know this was the first layout that I created with the sketch, and then the second one where I changed it up, changed the size and the numbers of photos, as well as changing some of the design elements into large clusters and expanding the titles. So you can back up and watch both of those videos. So the third thing that I want to feature in this series in changing up a sketch is this one has several layers of large pieces of background paper to build up that background before you put your photos and embellishments and the title and all that on. So instead of using paper, then I'm going to go with kind of a mixed media. I'm going to do some watercoloring on the background. I've also done a digital cut file. So I have this and I've cut it out of patterned paper. This is from the Cricut Artistry collection. So it's this cut file right here. And I just cut it out at about 8.5 inches. Now I would say that this is probably at least 10 inches, 9.5 to 10 inches covering up that background. But because that background paper of mine's going to have some watercolor effect, that's going to be the bigger part, and then this over it. So I'm going to build up all of the layers with the paint on the background, the cut files. I'm going to do some backing with paper and pop this up, and so you'll see that in a minute. The papers that I'm working with is the Pink Paisley Fancy Free collection from Paige Evans. So I have the 6x6 paper pad, and I've just chose some colors that go well with the photo that I'm going to work with today. So this is my son and daughter on Mother's Day, and they're dressed in a dark navy blue, and then they have some red and some pink and pink flowers and the white, obviously. So I'm going to have the white background with the watercolor, and so I picked out these papers that were white but had several colors, and I may go back through and see about possibly putting the pink in. I really didn't want to, but after I cut this out, when I'm looking at the white coming through, there's not a lot of contrast, and I have the green here for the leaves. So I'm going to play with it and see, and if it's not enough, then I may switch it out and do some of the sheets of paper that's more of the solid colors that have a little bit more larger pieces of color. That's what I'm trying to say. So just more color in the background. We'll see. I have quite a bit of dark background painted on the watercolor, so just follow along with that. I'll go ahead and share. Some of the embellishments are the same embellishments I've had out working on some other layouts. So I pulled out the Fancy Free ephemera, and I actually have it over here, the pieces that I've hunted out that I think will work with the color scheme. I have the package of tags, and I've pulled out some different tags that will work with the color scheme that I'm working with. I also have these butterfly and bird clips, little paper clips that I thought might be kind of fun. And I have this from the Pebble Spring collection, and this would be really cute. I'm not sure if it's going to work because the Fancy Free collection is done with silver accents. So it depends on how much I use, and if I use the silver, whether I'll be able to pull that in or not. The same thing with these little puffy stickers. I thought they'd be fun to put in the center of the flowers, but I'm not sure how that's going to work if I use the silver. I also pulled these bows out that I worked into another layout, so I have those if I want another pop of color. And so I'm ready to get started on the background piece and the watercolors. So again, for this feature on stretching your sketches out, changing them up, is working on the background foundation, and instead of paper, we're going to do with mixed medias, cut files, and we're going to build up layers using those techniques. I just used some paints and watered them down and smushed them on there and then splattered. I've went ahead and backed this with some of my patterned paper, and I've pop dotted between the paper and the overlay. And then I just have some extra foam dots here, and I'm going to go ahead and take those off and then put it onto my background. Alright, so I have finished it up, and as you can tell, it's quite different from the traditional layouts that I've done, following very closely to the way that it was drawn with cardstock paper cut just the way that it's drawn here. But I hope that you can see the design elements still in this layout. So instead of square cut papers, I've done watercolor background, a layer of patterned paper behind a die cut. So I've built up those layers. It's still taking up most of that space that's drawn here on the sketch, but just in a different form. So even though it's drawn as a square, don't be afraid to change it out. Put a big circle behind there, or a star, or digital die cuts like this and backing. I did try to keep some of the same elements, so I kept the title in the same place down here. I did use the white foam stickers because I didn't want it to detract from everything that I had going right here. I wanted all of the color left in the center. So I felt like that was enough that you can see it, especially in person. Hopefully it will show up on camera. But I really like the way that it turned out. I also took the inspiration of the tags, and I tucked a tag here, and I also used one of these, this is from the tag pack from Fancy Free. Even though it's not in the shape of a tag, it's technically a tag, and so I did that over here, kind of in the same spot. I've added my embellishments, and again, these are kind of like up and down the page here, and so I kept the tag and this and the flowers, but I also brought another one of the puffy sticker flowers up here from the Bloom collection, just to repeat that, to keep that flowing all the way up the page. For this little piece here, I didn't put it here, but I did move this piece on top of the photo, and I added a little die cut onto the top of the photo here instead of at the side. So I've moved things just slightly, but again, I hope that you can see the sketch still in my layout. And so one more time, let's go through the 3 different layouts. So the sketch is here. The first one, that's very traditional, keeping very true to the sketch, changing it up just a little bit as far as the embellishments go, but still very true to the sketch. Instead of these 2 pieces being smaller, I did 1 full piece and then added border strips and things here to do that division that was drawn on the sketch. And today's layout. So there's a look. I know I can't get them all in here, but 3 different ways to use the same sketch, and 3 very different looking layouts. So I hope you enjoyed a look at this. I would love to hear your feedback on this series, whether you'd like to keep it going, or what you're getting out of it, any ideas you have, ways that you stretch your sketches and change them up so that you can use them over and over again. So any feedback you have, I would love to have it. If you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you subscribe and click the thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I'll be back next week with another process video. So thanks for watching. Bye guys.